Welcome back to the Vintage Unicorn, Beauty, Makeup, and etc. Today, as promised, is episode 2 of Storytime Saturday. And wait, I gotta intro this right because love you. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Vintage Unicorn, Beauty, Makeup, and etc. And today will be a prison story. Because believe me, men do not have a monopoly on crazy ass prison stuff. So, 21 years old. Looking at a long sentence for a fairly big crime. Bank robbery is pretty up there. Even though in the feds it's only considered a Class C felony, it's still, I mean, when you think about it, you're like, oh, murder, kidnapping, bank robbery, like they just kind of go together. I would definitely say it's a more deviant act than maybe, you know, drug dealing. And that's just my personal opinion. From what I saw when I was locked up, a lot of girls would be doing very long sentences behind drug charges, whereas violent offenders were doing 5 years, 6 years. For me, I did just over 2 years, just under 3 years. And I didn't hurt anybody, but it's still classified as a violent crime. But that's not what this is about. This is about some crazy stuff. Because up until this point, I had heard my friends who, you know, were in and out of jail at MDC talking about all the stuff going on there. And at the time, I did not know the difference between, I'm sorry, I keep messing with my hair. I did not know the difference between the state and the federal system. I just figured jail is jail. No. There is no such thing as bail in the federal system. Once you are in, unless they give you a halfway house shot, and most people don't make that. That's a pretrial halfway house shot. I did do that, and some more crazy stories will entail from that. But I want to talk about women as prisoners because, like I said, men do not have a monopoly on being incarcerated. In fact, women are the fastest growing prison demographic in the country. And our country, the land of the free and the home of the brave, 2% of our adult population is incarcerated. So that means statistically we have the least amount of free people in our free country. Next to the second runner-up, which is where I'm from, where I immigrated from, South Africa. And as Jim Jeffries would say, if you have never been to South Africa is fucked. So I walk in and I'm going to tell you the story of my first few days. This is not an exaggeration. This is exactly how it happened. And if I wasn't like in mind-numbing withdrawals, I don't think it would have solidified as much as it was. So, my husband bought me a new atomizer. Thank you, babe. I love you. He's playing video games. Anyway, so first couple nights I'm kicking, it's bad. They have to like resuscitate me, all kinds of crazy shit. But finally I do get moved to a permanent federal holding facility in Estancia, which is like in the middle of nowhere, and all the guards are related to each other and all of the county prisoners are related to them. But this is where they stick the feds, the federal women. And they have a policy there where when you re-enter or you enter for the you enter the facility and you're fed, or maybe this is a county thing too, I don't know. You do, well, it has to be a county thing, yeah. You do 3 days of what's called pre-class. Basically, you are in a cell with nothing and no, that's it. You are just in a cell. Most people sleep that time away, but if you are kicking heroin, that is gonna be a long as fuck 3 days. I mean, I've done shoe time that didn't even come close to pre-class time. So 3 days pre-class, they put me in a cell with this girl. We're gonna call her Shelly. Like I said, I do not remember her name, but that's good enough. First day was what it was. It was me being sick. She was coming off of some kind of stimulant, and she was chatty Cathy and sleeping at the, like she was just sleeping and chatting, and it was weird. And I was just, dying, like literally wishing I would die because nothing positive was in that cell. So I stopped talking to her after the first couple days, you know, I think I'm gonna get out. So I go to court and I come back and she's like, I knew you weren't gonna get out. And she was actually an older lady. And I'm gonna say it, she had no teeth. She had maybe 2 or 3 teeth. And that's, you know, one of those things you notice. It's kind of difficult not to. So I'm in the cell, locked up with this lady. In her 40s, whatever, she's an older lady, or at least from my perspective, older at the time. And, you know, I'm trying to be respectful. And then she starts this weird thing. It started subtly, to where I thought she might be talking to me, and I was just a little out of it, and I wasn't really responding. I hear her whispering. She's on the bottom bunk. She has to be on the bottom bunk because she's a little bigger and she's older, so she has to be on the bottom bunk. And I hear this talking. And I'm like, okay, I'm in no state to be conversational. At one point I said, what was that? And she said, nothing. like, I know this lady is talking. I know the difference between like DTs and this lady talking. So she is chatting up a storm, and I realize what she's doing. She is on the phone, as in her hand, as in she is on the phone with nobody, talking to herself as if she is on the phone. And this went on for a good 24 to 36 hours. No sleep on her end, no sleep on my end. And some of the shit this lady said, I will never forget. She was talking about, I'm gonna get the kids back, I'm gonna meet you at the McDonald's, you know, we're gonna be together forever. She then, I guess, is on the phone with the phone, meaning her hand. She's talking to nobody. So I guess that was her being on the phone with this guy who she'd told me about when we were talking. You know, she was on the phone with him, we're gonna get back together, or I'm gonna get the kids, we're gonna meet at McDonald's, whatever. But next she's on the phone with, like, I guess one of her friends in the free world, and this is not a phone, this is her hand. She is doing this. And, oh my gosh. The next thing she starts talking about is her sex life. And to her non-existent friend who she's talking to through her non-existent phone, which is her hand, she starts talking about, oh, well, he's never gonna leave me. Oh, you know, I can't sleep, so I'm listening to her crazy phone call. Well, he's never gonna leave her because she has this trick that keeps her super tight. Parental discretion advised, like here from the beginning, always in these stories. No man is ever gonna leave her because she is that tight. She has a trick, she has a secret, and she's gonna tell this person on the non-existent phone her trick. So, Chatty Cathy with her non-existent friend on the phone, her secret to why men will never leave her. And this, just thinking back on it, good God in heaven. Apparently, she has this trick, and she is on the phone, and she says, I'm doing it right now. I'm doing it right now. And it'll always work. Just pretend like you're peeing, but then start and stop peeing, because you will always be tight. And for a moment, I'm like, would that work? No! Of course not. This lady is psycho. And she goes on and on and on. She's talking about how one time, I guess, she was under the bed when her baby daddy person was with this friend on the phone. Oh, you didn't know, but I was under the bed the whole time. I don't know if she was doing this little Kegel exercise thing, but while she was under the bed, and I get it, I should not be making fun of a very sick addict who has fried her brain. But in my present state, I am so dope sick, done. I want to lie down, I want to sleep, I want to take 10,000 showers. I cannot leave the cell. My little 21-year-old self got real buck real quick. I jumped off the bed and I said, you need to shut the up. And she says, well, you've just been up there, you know, coughing and sneezing and this and that and blah, blah, blah. And I said, look, if you do not shut up, I will punch those last 3 teeth down your motherfucking throat. And she's like, yeah. So I guess this commotion has somehow attracted an officer. I did not have a comprehension that these people existed because they had not really manifested themselves. Food was just there and I wasn't interested in it anyway. She was eating my trays, whatever. I gave them to her. I was good. So the CO comes in and says, what's going on? Wait. And she pulls us apart and she says, look, you, not me, but this Shelly lady. She says, you have been yammering on all night and all day long. So that's how I got out of pre-class early. They moved me into a cell with a normal person. They shipped her off to the turtle soup place. That is story number 1 of my first week in jail. As time progresses, a day or so, I decided I want to room with this girl who's about I think she was a little older than me, but she seemed nice, seemed like the kind of person I might have hung out with on the street. Turned out to be a snake in the grass, like so hardcore. Anyway, this is when I discovered the 2 most important things in a women's prison. And that is money/commissary and sex. Every woman in there is either engaging in some kind of money-making venture or having sex or doing both. And you're wondering, well, who are they having sex with? Each other, of course, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, there's really not. It's pretty awesome. But what is weird is when women who are married or have kids or have never had any premonition of having any bisexual or homosexual notions all of a sudden become fatal about these other women. I mean, they are crying, they are screaming, they are getting each other's names tatted all over their bodies with a pinch and poke little thing. Anyway, so young, blonde, blue-eyed, supposedly, you know, my stuff was all over the news. Everyone's thinking I'm a bank robber, I have a stash, which is not true. Anyway, so I had a lot of people coming up to me and trying to befriend me, but there was one person in particular. We are going to call him the Duke, the Archduke of the pod. Now, why I say him is because at first glance you would think this person is a male. Well, we called them boy girls, females who emulate the male ideal, I suppose. And a lot of them do not emulate this on the outside. So I don't want to be disrespectful and not acknowledge whatever gender roles they choose. And as far as I know, the Archduke does live as a male on the streets, but the Archduke does not like to be called him. Her pronouns are her, she, and that's just her choice. So I want you to imagine a Shar-Pei, the dog, with the wrinkles in the head, a big, you know, bulldoggy looking thing. That in a human. And, you know, I'm young. My mother has entirely cut me off. And I have one skill at this point that I think I can market. And I don't even remember how it came. I do remember how it came out. I was writing a joke love letter to one of the marshals at the dungeon because he was just so cute. And I let my cellmate read it, and she was like, wow, this is like 50 Shades of Grey stuff. Only 50 Shades of Grey had not yet really come out. But basically it was like some serious sexualized written content. And it makes its way around the pod, and that's fine. It was just fiction. I don't know. So I started having girls coming to me asking me to write them letters to their boyfriends. And the ones that were about love, this is a really sick thing, is I didn't really know how to describe love. So I was just using all of these random, you know, adverbs, adjectives to describe the longing. These walls cannot keep us apart, you know. And anyway, so word gets around to me that the Archduke has her eye on me. And willingly, I engage in a written relationship with her. Now, yes, we sit together and we eat, but when we are sitting, we are not speaking in this manner. I go on lockdown, I write her these crazy S&M, you don't even know what letters. And in one of them, well, we'll get to this. So anyway, she's getting these letters, she's really into it. Apparently I'm her girlfriend, and my biggest perk for that was that she was giving me Seroquel, which sounds really horrible, but and I'm not trying to justify it. I am at this point still kicking heroin, unable to sleep, and she is giving me her Seroquel. So I am able to sleep. Soon after that, I was well again, and it kind of turned into maybe she would cook with me, whatever. And I feel like such a sleazy little stray, because like looking back with my knowledge now, that's what I did, is I leashed around her, but I learned my lesson. So there was one letter, and I wrote it and I gave it to her right around, I want to say like the count that's not the probably like 5 o'clock count, 4 o'clock count, whatever. And so she comes out and I give it to her, and it involves me taking a shower and her coming in and attacking me sexually. So, you know, I think nothing of it. It's just a letter, and she read it and she was like, damn! And that was her response to pretty much every letter I wrote to her. But I mean, it was words. Like, we didn't actually do anything. We never did. It was just this kind of thing. I was writing her letters. I was writing letters for other girls in the pod to send out to their boyfriends, girlfriends, whoever, husbands, wives, whatever is going on. The letter entailed, I am in the shower. She kicks open the door and, you know, attacks me. And this is the kind of shit that I'm writing down. I am going to get so much hate for this. I am sorry. I'm a changed person for the most part, but this is just what happened. That night, I basically lived in the shower up until this point. It was getting a little better where I didn't have to shower all the time just to feel normal. Like, basically, I was sweating and feeling so sick that the only time I felt right was in the shower until the shower got too hot. Then I'd leave, then I'd come back in the shower. So I go and I take a regular shower, and these showers have these weird, like, metal doors. lock because they can lock you down in them, but they're not locked. You have a chair in front of it, that's where your stuff is, whatever. I am showering, not a thought in the world. Boom! Someone kicks open the shower door. I look, it is the Archduke, and I am convinced in my soul, in my body, in my person, that I have officially ruined I am convinced that I am going to die. That is the fear in my eyes. She looks at me, she laughs, and says, I got you, didn't I? Yeah, you got me. I'm talking about a girl who probably had about 100 pounds on me then. Like, you know, I mean, I was scared. Suffice to say that I, for the most part, stopped writing illicit letters at that point. But that is the first of the very crazy, first and second of the crazy-ass prison stories that I wanted to tell you guys about. Damn. I apologize for my sins, I really do. There have been a lot of things I have done that I am not proud of, but there is some degree of hilarity to take away from all this. And I really think that a lot of the things that happened, not that I ever got hurt or anything. I mean, I've been in fights and stuff. That'll be another one. Got my ass beat. But that's part of why I never went back. You know, it wasn't for me. A lot of girls, especially like the federal girls who I know who maybe are starting to get out or got out, I mean, it was a revolving door for them, and that is very common for it to be a revolving door for women and men. And something about just what happened to me while I was in there, the spiritual transformations that I was fortunate enough to take in, I never went back. It was a one and done. The bank robbery was over 5 years ago. I've been out of prison for a good number of years. And so bank robbery was in 2012. I got released in late 2014, and it's 2018, so I've been out for almost 4 years. Wow, how time flies. 2012, it's been 6 years. Sorry, that is a staggering and astounding just a moment to realize. You know, completed probation, and I have no desire of ever going back. So I live my life in a very, you know, law-abiding way. No more drugs, no more craziness. That stuff is out the door. And things like this are what contributed to it. So please let me know, sound off in the comments, whether or not you enjoyed this, whether or not I presented it in a, you know, chi-chi-ha-ha, knee-slapping kind of way, or whether it was just horrible, which I will completely be receptive to your feedback, and I appreciate you taking the time to listen to my story, and I will have more if you guys want them, and I will see you in the next video. Also, I just wanted to announce that I gave in, and I will be doing a review on this. I have not opened it or played with it yet, but I will be doing a review on this tomorrow, so I will see you then. Remember to subscribe, and thank you so much.